This is for you, Kings fans, wherever you may be. All the frustration and disappointment of the past is gone. The 45-year drought is over. The Los Angeles Kings are indeed the kings of the National Hockey League. They are the 2012 Stanley Cup champions.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another post-game live here for the 2024 NBA playoffs. Before we get started, you already know the drill. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you know every single time I post a video or go live. And follow your boy on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at DimeDropperPod. If you support your boy or a Clipper fan, subscribe to the Locked On Clippers podcast, which is the podcast I do 5 days a week. And we are live from Los Angeles. And I know what you're thinking, Dime, why do you keep going live in the middle of games? This is not like you. Again, because of my schedule, I have not been able to watch games like that. The last live game I watched, believe it or not, was actually the game the Clippers got eliminated. That was the last live NBA game I watched. So I've been behind. I've been watching 4 games a day and trying to catch up. So this episode, again, we are almost there. Just please bear with me. Again, I know it's annoying right now, but in 2 weeks' time or whenever you look back at these episodes, because that's what these are. It's not just for the short term. When it comes to playoff recaps, it's for the long term. The regular season, yeah, we probably aren't going to watch those again, you know. But I will definitely go back and see what I was saying during the playoffs at this time and previous years. Those are the games that go down in history, that make legacies, that are the main reasons why teams make certain decisions in the off seasons. So the playoff recaps, I try to make sure I do it right, and I want to make sure I catch every game because every series has a story, and if you skip a game, you might be skipping a schematic change that happens. So that is why I'm doing this. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about Celtics Cavaliers Game 3, Dallas Oklahoma City Game 3, Minnesota versus Denver Game 4, and then New York Indiana Game 4. And because it was the least interesting game, which is very rare to say right now, I'm going to start with the New York Knicks. Every single New York Knicks game for the most part has been a banger, but this one was a case of one team played their absolute worst game and the other team played their absolute best game. Now, we know the Indiana Pacers can just light it up from 3 out of nowhere, but not out of nowhere. Can light it up from 3 regularly, I should say, and they like to push the pace, and they have an explosive offense. But what really makes that offense extremely hard to guard is when they get out and run. How do you get out and run? You get stops, you create turnovers. And the Knicks offense was struggling immensely. And we know that the New York Knicks offense right now without Julius Randle, and of course they still didn't have OG Anunoby, don't have Mitchell Robinson. It all revolves around Brunson creating everything. And Brunson's, taking a beating in this series. He had that foot injury in game 2. And man, this game, he just didn't really look right. He had no burst. A lot of his shots were short. He was getting locked up, and he hasn't looked very good the last 2 games after being arguably the best player in the postseason for any team so far. And you got to give a huge credit to Rick Carlisle and the coaching staff for making a simple adjustment, and that was putting Aaron Nesmith on Jalen Brunson as the primary defender. That has really changed this series. He's done such a good job, and that's when you start seeing what I said, what Becky Hammond said, come into fruition, come into effect. The size, when you put these bigger wings on these smaller guards and you're relying on these 6'3" or smaller guards to be your number one scorers with them on the ball so much, it's tough to generate good looks all the time. And Brunson, he did not generate many good looks in this game for the Knicks. They did not generate many good looks. Dante DiVincenzo, that's the crazy part about this series is if Andrew Nembhard doesn't make that shot at the end of game 3, New York gets the ball back and they score and potentially win that game and go up 3-0. That's it. Dante DiVincenzo's 35-point game after 2 absolute heaters at MSG was kind of wasted. And now you have the Pacers with an added focus and attention to preventing him from getting shots, running him over every screen and making him pass to someone else on the drive when they run him off the line. You have that kind of attention on DiVincenzo. And when Brunson's not producing, it becomes hard. The matchups for this game, a lot of the same. Miles Turner still on Isaiah Hartenstein, Nesmith on Brunson, Siakam on Precious Achiuwa, Andrew Nembhard guarding Josh Hart, and then Halliburton on DiVincenzo. On the other side, Hartenstein on Turner, DiVincenzo still on Halliburton, Brunson on Nembhard, Precious on Siakam, and then Hart on Nesmith. Turner was in drop coverage. Tyrese Halliburton was hedging on Jalen Brunson when he was put in the action. Jericho Sims came in and was in drop coverage when he was in. So both bigs playing drop for the Knicks. And then Isaiah Jackson, same thing. Actually, Isaiah Jackson went with a little bit of a show and recover real quick because he's got the speed to kind of get back. You know, the one thing that stood out to me besides the good on-ball defense of the Nembhard and Nesmiths of the world was just how fast Indiana was just how much they were helping off of Precious Achiuwa. He got a couple buckets early, but the whole goal of the Pacers was to basically use the fact that, Precious Achiuwa isn't OG Anunoby. We don't have to worry about him behind the line. So we're going to just show more bodies at Brunson. And that was really hurting them throughout the game. Not even saying Precious Achiuwa was doing anything wrong necessarily, just that his skill set is just, it hurts in that particular instance. The Pacers were pushing the pace, though, off this good defense. Constant stuff in transition, and I love the way this Pacers team moves the ball. They, as I said a couple episodes ago, this is not the Rick Carlisle 2021 Mavs, 2023 Pacers, just high pick and roll all the time. They move the ball quick with purpose. They share the rock. They seem like they genuinely like to make the best possible play for each other. And Tyrese Halliburton was really the conductor here, making the extra pass, attacking gaps here in this first quarter. And he hit a second three to make it 10-4 Indiana, which led to a New York timeout. TJ McConnell, when he came in, he started guarding Brunson. And Jalen Brunson was 0 for 5 in the first quarter. And there was one time where he had a turnover where TJ McConnell just read his bounce pass, pocket pass like a book, and then threw it out to Tyrese Halliburton for a dunk, which led to a 9-0 run and made it 14-6. And then there was a 90-second stretch where Miles Turner looked like Wilt Chamberlain. Actually, no, something even different. He had a contested three to beat the clock. Then he blocks a shot in drop coverage. Then he gets a putback layup. It was nuts. It was nuts. The Pacers were just all over them. And you have to say, for the Knicks, if you're a Knicks fan, the effort level, and that's something you never really question with the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau. But man, these guys, they were just getting blitzed in every way, shape, or form. They got an 8-second violation, for God's sake, 8-second violation. And then, of course, the TJ McConnell show. He comes in, gets to the paint relentlessly, and ones. Fastest to Obi Toppin, who's amazing. Ben Shepherd. At one point, it was 34-11 Pacers. And after one, it was 34-14. These guys were all over the Knicks. And Isaiah Jackson, he even came in and gave them some great two-way stuff, rebounding, protecting the rim, showing and recovering well. Nembhard was good, knocking down shots, playing good defense. TJ McConnell just everywhere. And even Pascal Siakam kind of picking up where he left off in game 3, catching the ball in the post a little bit more and being aggressive. A couple turnarounds. Half ended with 5 straight points from Tyrese Halliburton. And they were just doing a great collective job on Jalen Brunson. And so the Indiana Pacers in the third quarter, they didn't let up. They just kept at it, got stops, went out and ran. Got transition stuff with TJ, with Halliburton. Halliburton was just amazing. I think he's been so good the last 3 games. He's looked shifty. He's looked quick. He's looked healthy, opposite of Brunson right now. So, man, this was a really poor performance of the Knicks, even from an effort perspective, which you never question from them. Like Josh Hart was panting on the bench. These guys did not realize what they were in for, and they didn't really punch back after they got knocked out in the beginning of the game. So they were down for the count, really. But yeah, just the first quarter, 34-14 in favor of the Pacers. Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson played the whole thing. Josh Hart was 1 for 4. Brunson was 0 for 5 in the first quarter. Halliburton had 8 points out the gate. And then TJ and Obi had 7 points each coming off the bench right then and there. Knicks just really struggled to score. And it's amazing you see the Pacers with all this ball pressure. It's not what you think of when you consider this Indiana Pacers team. But yeah. Let's read the lines, because this game was in the refrigerator like by the third quarter. It really was. New York, we're going to be seeing what happens in game 5. Every team has won their home games. I still haven't even watched game 5, fellas. So, okay. Anyway, let's get to the lines for the game. My computer might need a little bit of a refurbishing soon. It's getting hot early, just like the Pacers in this game. By the way, Tom Thibodeau recognized the whole Precious Achiuwa clogging up the spacing thing, so he had Deuce McBride start the second half, but it just really was to no avail. When Brunson's not creating good shots for the team, they're screwed without Randall, and they don't have OG. That's a major thing. OG being out is huge. So it's unfortunate for New York. Let's read the lines. For the New York Knicks as a team, they shot 34% and 19% from three. So it doesn't get much worse than that. Deuce McBride was 6 for 17 from the field, 16 points. Jalen Brunson, also 6 for 17 from the field, 0 for 5 from three, 6 for 9 from the foul line, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers. And then DiVincenzo, 7 points on 3 for 13 shooting and 1 for 6 from three. Josh Hart, 1 for 6 from the field, just 2 points. They did not have the stuff. It was the worst game of the postseason for the Knicks. No question about it. Anyway, how about the Pacers? They shot 57% from the field and 45% from three. Isaiah Jackson had 10 points and 6 boards off the bench on 4 for 8 shooting. TJ McConnell, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 10 assists, and 2 steals on 6 for 12 shooting and 2 for 2 from three. This guy is playing at a level that I don't even know. Is he the best backup point guard in the NBA? Like, what is going? It's ridiculous the level that he's playing at every single game. Obi Toppin, he's had an unbelievable postseason here in year 4. Doing it to his former team. 14 points on 6 for 11 shooting and 2 for 3 from three. And then Ben Shepherd coming in with 6.7 rebounds and some really good defense. Just didn't shoot very well on 2 for 6 from the field and 1 for 5 from three. The starters, Andrew Nembhard, coming off that game-winning shot, essentially, that he hit. Really good shooting game in this one. Didn't shoot well in game 3. 9 points, 5 assists on 4 for 5 shooting and 1 for 2 from three. How about Aaron Nesmith? 8 points, 12 rebounds, and lockdown D on Jalen Brunson. He has been fantastic in these last 2 games. 4 for 8 from the field. Missed all his threes, made all his twos. Once he starts hitting that 3 ball, Knicks could be in trouble. And then, how about Miles Turner? He was awesome, just in the flow of the offense. He still continues to be fairly aggressive when he sees smalls on him. 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 3 blocks for him on 5 for 5 shooting. 3 for 3 from deep. And Pascal Siakam, 14 points on 7 for 9 shooting. Shot very efficiently. Just didn't get to the free throw line, but very solid game for him. And then Halliburton, my player of the game, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists on 8 for 15 shooting and 4 for 10 from three. So can't wait to see how game 5 went. Now we're going to move on to the Dallas Mavericks and the Oklahoma City Thunder game 3. So Mavs and Thunder. I wasn't really watching this game from any team's perspective, just kind of watching it overall. And of course, you knew that Dallas was still going to start out with doing that adjustment they made of having PJ Washington guard Chet Holmgren, then having Gafford on Giddey. Derek Jones Jr. still guarding SGA. Luka still guarding Lou Dort, and then Kyrie Irving on J-Dub. On the other side, J-Dub was guarding Kyrie Irving. Chet was on Gafford, though. He would actually guard the 5. Giddey on Derek Jones, SGA on PJ Washington, and then Lou Dort guarding Luka. And, oh, man, there was so much just, like, nonsense, like, roughhousing and just wrestling between Luka and Lou Dort. It was ridiculous. A lot of flopping, a lot of foul baiting from the both of them. And Luka was the difference in game 2. Like, game 1, SGA was the best player on the floor. Game 2, Luka was the best player on the floor. Series is 1-1. But this game was actually a little bit different because SGA played really well and the Oklahoma City Thunder still lost. Of course, the whole point of the Mavs having the PJ on Chet thing is so that when SGA puts Chet in the pick and pop, they can just switch that. PJ will guard SGA, and then Derek Jones will guard Chet. Chet was in drop coverage on the other side. Derek Lively, when he was putting pick and roll, when he was guarding a big, he was also in drop coverage. And then Luka was still switching on to SGA, and I talked about how the Thunder did not go into that enough in game 2. They were going to it a little bit more in game 3. To start the game, Chet, his rim protection was just fantastic. He had 3 blocks in the first quarter. So just being a presence in drop coverage, we've seen that all season from him. You know who got off to an amazing start? PJ Washington. You know who had another amazing game? PJ Washington. It's kind of ridiculous the way he's playing. I mean, just insane on both ends of the floor. Help defense, man-to-man defense, defense on the interior, defense on the perimeter, attacking closeouts and scoring, knocking down 3 balls, being in the right place at the right time. Just insane. I mean, the way it was ridiculous the way he was playing. And by the way, as far as guys taking a crack at SGA as primary defenders for the Mavs, Derek Jones Jr., Dante Exum, Josh Green, PJ Washington. To start the game, Giddey was already not great. Same as last game. He was getting put in the action. Derek Jones got an and one immediately as the screener with Josh Giddey. And, he was being allowed to shoot. Luka went out for a sec. Kyrie got a couple of buckets. And, man, there was some shots from Kyrie Irving in this game that were just outrageous. When OKC at one point had a small unit with SGA as their second biggest guy, and they were getting crushed. This is all in the first quarter, by the way. Crushed on the glass. I mean, you had guys like PJ Washington or Derek Jones. The Mavs have big forwards now. The Thunder, they're playing Jalen Williams from Arkansas at the 5, and SGA is their second biggest guy. He's a 6'6" point guard. That's going to get rocked in the playoffs. But SGA is just so good. He was able to restore order late in the quarter, just getting to the mid-range, getting to his spots for his step backs, and just finding a way to create space one-on-one. Then late, they were loading up a little bit, had a dime to Isaiah Joe. Let's look at the first quarter stats for this one. 26-23 in favor of the Mavs. Good defense both ways. SGA played the entire first quarter and had 9 points. For the Mavericks, PJ Washington had 11 points in the first quarter. Luka just 1 for 3, and Kyrie just 2 for 3 in the first. Second quarter, OKC took the lead. And both teams are pretty cold, missing a lot of threes, but the Thunder went on a 7-0 run when Case and Wallace hit a 3. The Mavs called timeout. But off the timeout, PJ Washington just continued to be great throughout the game. I mean, it was just amazing what this guy was doing. Jump hooks even around the basket and continue to make threes. And then we just saw stretches of like SGA and Kyrie Irving with amazing isolations and mid-ranges and just beautiful to watch. After Luka Doncic made what looked like a buzzer-beating 3 or a 3 to end the quarter for the Mavs, Isaiah Joe made a 3. A couple notes about the second. J-Dub, I thought he was playing some solid defense. And Luka missed some chippies. He left some right at the rim, right around the basket, but the Mavs were dominating the glass and the paint, but we're still down by 1 at the half. 29-25 in favor of the Thunder in the second quarter. SGA had 8 in the second. Luka also had 8. PJ Washington had 8 and played the entire second quarter. Score at halftime was 52-51 OKC. So they're right there, as a road team in these kind of games, you just want to be right there. And they were. The only thing was, I'd say Jalen, just looking at the box score, Jalen Williams and Chet, 9 shots combined between the two in the first half. You want to see them be a little bit more aggressive, but I will say this. Part of it is that neither really are able to create great shots at the highest levels consistently. Like Chet, he's just a very tall pick and pop guy right now with some skill. But one-on-one, when he gets a big forward on him, how's he abusing that? How's he taking advantage of that? Jalen Williams, he's still, I think he has a nice solid crossover and speed and start, stop, and he can pull up, but he doesn't really have too much wiggle in his game right now. His bag is not expanded just yet. Isaiah Joe was actually the second leading scorer on the Thunder at halftime with 10 points, 4 of 4 in the first half. PJ Washington led the way for the Mavs with 19, Luka 14, Kyrie Irving 4 for 7, 8.6 assists. So another First half where Kyrie was on the quieter side. His whole thing this postseason so far has been take it easy in the first half and then all of a sudden go absolutely apeshit in the second. Third quarter, though, was the Thunder that threw the first punch. They went on an 11-0 run. Josh Giddey actually had 5 points in that stretch, including a 3, and their defense looked really good. SGA, J-Dub, Chet, everybody was locked in, Lou Dort, and the Dallas Stars, no pun intended, out of the hockey team, Kyrie and Luka had a couple of turnovers, and OKC took advantage of that. On the offensive side, Dallas was putting Josh Giddey in the action. He was starting to kind of drop because he wasn't really too worried about, he's guarding who? He's not guarding Daniel Gafford. Derek Jones. So he's not too worried about his 3-ball because he's been really cold in this series so far. But the Mavs made a run that was triggered by transition, getting stops, causing turnovers. PJ Washington had 5 points in that stretch. And then they went on a 16-0 run, dominating the glass when Chet went out. And also when Isaiah Joe was in alongside Jalen Williams from Arkansas instead of Chet and Josh Giddey. And Josh Giddey, for everything you want to say that's negative about him, he does rebound. And when they were out, they were getting crushed on the glass. I mean, 16-0 run. Luka was starting to cook. And once Luka was starting to cook and Lou Dort's fouling him and this and that, both guys just foul betting like crazy. Defense starts to help. Because the whole thing from the Thunder all series is don't let Kyrie and Luka beat us. Let's let these other guys make shots. But right now, PJ Washington, he is making them pay. The strategy is not working right now through 3 games. He's going absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. 16-0 run. And a lot of it was also just great rim protection by Lively. Great defense by PJ. Great defense by Josh Green. Then Kyrie was starting to cook. 2 threes, a dime Daniel Gafford. So the Mavs are just blowing it open. Really good defense. It was just felt like for the Thunder, because Chet went out of the game. The only guy that can create, SGA. He can't do it all by himself. It is one of those, I hate being that guy, but needs some help right now. He doesn't really have a true second star. And Kyrie Irving, even though he's not, scoring a lot right now, he is constantly creating. SGA, so J-Dub had an injury scare, by the way. A little awkward landing. And when he went out of the game, SGA was forced to come back in a little prematurely and started cooking. But Tim Hardaway Jr. hit a 3 with 0.9 seconds left at the end of the third quarter. SGA, I think he actually threw 3 quarters, and honestly, in the game might have been the best part on the floor. And he just lost because PJ and Kyrie are completely outplaying Chet and J-Dub in these last 2 games. And when that's happening, anyone's game. Third quarter, let's see, 26-31 in favor of Dallas. PJ Washington had 8 points in the quarter. Kyrie Irving played the entire thing, had 6 points. Luka only had 3 shots. So again, they're making him pass, making him give the ball up. And of course, it's not always going to be reflected in the assists that Luka gets. When the ball's moving and the Thunder, as good of a defensive team as they are, they're going to make you move it to option C, D, and all that. And the Mavericks, they were doing a good job in finding those guys. SGA had 8 in the third. That's about it for that. Fourth quarter. This was the best game of the series thus far, by the way. Chet Holmgren started to get going with 5 straight and 1. And I believe a putback. But Kyrie had 6 straight to answer right back. And some of them were just unreal. These 2 turnarounds he hit. One was like over the left shoulder with Lou Dort all over him. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just absolute brilliance. And then the other one, I think it was against J-Dub where he had the spin. It was just, he was in the zone in that moment. And that's when you're just watching Uncle Drew cook. Tim Hardaway Jr. as well. Another very solid game. He had a lob to Lively that put the Mavs up 9. It's Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. A lot of it Kyrie Irving in this stretch. But Luka and Dort, they were just wrestling the whole time. I have to say, the effort level for both teams was amazing. You see secondary, third efforts, 2 teams with a lot of youth and athleticism. It was really good stuff. And you know what? I have to give Luka a lot of credit. He had some very good closeouts on D on Lou Dort, some solid moments of one-on-one defense. He stood up to the task. And they were putting him in pick and roll. And instead of switching on SGA, he was just kind of dropping. Because Lou Dort, he was not convincing from 3 at all. He was not convincing from the field. And that hurt. That absolutely hurt the Oklahoma City Thunder because that was the guy that because they're trying to put Luka in the action. Derek Jones is a good defender. And PJ Washington's a good defender too. SGA, as great of an offensive player as he is, and he's scoring on everybody, he has to work for everything. And when he has to work for everything and he's not getting that much help creating shots, it's going to be tough when you have two shot creator extraordinaires on the other side. At one point, Mark Daigneault even resulted to hack a Lively, intentionally fouling Derek Lively to put him on the line. And he kind of got played off the floor. So they went with a lineup of Derrick Jones Jr. at center with PJ Washington, Tim Hardaway Jr., Kyrie Irving, and Luka. Kyrie, he basically hit the dagger, though. This lefty floater, similar to the one he hit against Denver over J-Dub. And then I thought Derrick Jones Jr. towards the end of the game did a really good job on the glass. The Mavericks won the game with great team defense, a great performance by PJ Washington, amazing stuff from Kyrie Irving, and then good two-way stuff from Luka. They did it with rebounding. They did it with their bigs, Lively and Gafford, and they pushed the pace. And as far as the Thunder, I don't think Lou Dort was good enough offensively. I think J-Dub is starting to show, second round. Now it's like, can you create shots at this level frequently enough? You're getting your drives cut off. It's getting physical. How big is your bag? And then Chet, he needs to do a little bit more. The final score, 105-101 Dallas. In the fourth quarter, Chet actually had 9 points. SGA 1 for 6 in the fourth. So that's not a great ending for Shea, actually. Kyrie had 8 in the fourth. Luka 6. So there you go. 14 of the 23 points in the fourth quarter scored by the Mavericks stars. I don't know. I still feel like SGA was the player of the game for me throughout the game, but I hate giving it to somebody who lost. Especially he also went 1 for 6 in the fourth. But hey, I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought. If you watched game 4, who was the player of the game for you? Let's read the lines for the Thunder. They're down 2-1 now, so that means game 4 is a must win. Can't wait. Gordon Hayward played again, 3 minutes, and I just don't get what his significance is in this series. He doesn't do anything. He actually shot one time, though. Had 2 rebounds, 0 for 1. Jalen Williams from Arkansas. He didn't do a good enough job rebounding. He got 2 points and 4 boards on 0 for 2 shooting in 13 minutes. Did not make his open threes. Outside of Isaiah Joe, the Thunder reserves were 1 for 8 from 3. So that was rough. Cason Wallace, 3 points, 1 for 3 from the field. All his shots were threes. Didn't really contribute much. And then Isaiah Joe, 13 points on 5 for 7 shooting, 3 for 4 from 3. He gave him some stuff in 19 and a half minutes. Aaron Wiggins played 22 minutes, 6 points, 4 boards, 3 for 7 from the field, 0 for 3 from deep. So again, these guys, role players shoot better at home. It is a real thing. Josh Giddey played 13 minutes and had 9 points, 2 rebounds and an assist. He wasn't very good, but I don't think he was such a liability that there's much to write home about when you talk 13 minutes. 4 for 8 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. It definitely does hurt the spacing. Do you not start him in game 4? You've lost 2 games in a row. Lou Dort, he fouled out. I think Luka got in his head a little bit. He was trying too many foul baiting tactics. And yeah, it wasn't good enough from him. 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block, and 2 turnovers. 3 for 9 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3. Not quite good enough. J-Dub, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 7 for 12. Man, he shot really well. 1 for 2 from 3, but he's got to get more shots up. He got to be able to create more shots. 16 points is not enough. Not in this era as a second option. How about Chet? 13 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks, 1 turnovers. That sounds all handy dandy, but 5 for 9, you're only shooting 9 shots. It's not enough. This is the playoffs. SGA, 31 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 5 blocks. Holy shit. 5 blocks, 5 turnovers, though. 10 for 23 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, 9 for 10 from the foul line in 42 minutes. I think SGA is doing all he can. But maybe he wasn't the best player in the game with 5 turnovers. How about the Mavs? 6 minutes for Exum. Donut, 2 rebounds. Didn't even get a shot up. Josh Green played 15 minutes, and I thought he played very impactful minutes. 3 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 for 3 from the field. All his shots were threes, but played good defense. And he had the second highest plus-minus of any Maverick with plus 15. I think he was good on the court. Tim Hardaway Jr., 16 minutes played, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. 3 for 9 from the field, but 2 for 5 from 3. And as long as you're getting something from him, I think that's good. Daniel Gafford played 19 and a half minutes. I thought he was very solid. Very solid, all things considered. Protecting the rim as best he can. 8 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 1 block. 4 for 5 from the field. And then Derek Lively off the bench, 27 minutes. It was another game where Derek Lively just seemed like the better option than Daniel Gafford. Protected the rim well, finished around the basket. Obviously had the hack of Lively, 12 points, 8 rebounds. It's a big-time experience for him here in year one. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist on 2 for 7 from the field. Can do a better job finishing, I will say. 8 for 12 from the free throw line. Derrick Jones Jr., man, he played really good defense, but he is struggling from the field. 3 points, 4 boards, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, 1 for 10 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. But the good news is for Dallas, you're winning games with him shooting that poorly in 36 minutes. And he's still able to play good defense. That's why he's on the floor. PJ Washington, wow. 27 points after 29 in game 2. 27 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. And that doesn't even go to show everything he's doing on the defensive end. 11 for 23 from the field, 5 for 12 from 3. And every time it feels like OKC wants to make a run, he does something great. I mean, it's amazing the way he's playing. Putting his name in the spotlight. Luka Doncic, 22 points, 15 rebounds. Wow. 5 assists, 2 steals, some trench work defensively, 4 turnovers, 7 for 17 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, 7 for 10 from the foul line. Thought he was good, all things considered. The defense matters, and the process matters. And I think Luka wasn't too ball dominant. He was really letting Kyrie rock. And the fact that 2 guys shot more shots than Luka, Kyrie shot the same amount, that's unlike the Mavs in the past. And I think you like to see that. I think that's what you want to see if you want to win a championship. Kyrie Irving, you know what? For me, I got to go. I think PJ Washington's my player of the game, honestly. He's the reason that the pick and rolls are getting blown up. 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists for Kyrie. 1 steal, 1 block. He did have 4 turnovers as well. 10 for 17 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, including the dagger. Kyrie Irving having his best postseason since 2017. Ain't no doubt about it. Now, I got to go a little bit fast. I have to talk about, I'm going to go game 4, Nuggets Wolves. Man, what a great game this was. And all I have to say is, all I can think of is the Rudy Tomjanovich, don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion. Because these Denver Nuggets, they are for real. They're absolutely for real. And we knew that, but the way they responded, it was just amazing. As far as the matchups, Jokic on Gobert, same thing. Gordon on Towns, MPJ on McDaniels, KCP on Ant, Murray on Conley. But slight change for the Wolves after getting blown out in game 3. They still had Gobert on Gordon. They still had Towns on the Joker. Ant-Man on MPJ, though, more so. And McDaniels on Murray. So I think their goal was to try to give Ant-Man some more rest defensively so he can have more energy for offense because he only shot 15 times in game 3. You're going to want him to be more aggressive. And to start the game, he was. Same strategy from the Denver Nuggets, hedging on the screens with Jokic against Anthony Edwards. So he would just come out and try to prevent him from going downhill. But you definitely saw more of an effort by Ant to try to turn the corner on Jokic. As far as the Wolves side of things, Towns guarding Jokic, premise of that is to have Gobert ready to help Karl Anthony Towns when he inevitably needs it because everybody concedes that you can't guard Joker one-on-one. On the pick and rolls with Murray, Towns sometimes dropped, sometimes hedged. Nothing seemed to work. As far as the Nuggets, they were still switching 1 through 4 on Ant and Cat. So that means Murray was switching on a Cat and Edwards. And Ant, he came out really aggressive to start. 9 points early, shooting threes, getting to the basket. But you know who else came out aggressive to start? Joker. Floaters, jump hooks. And I've been saying, one of the reasons in game 2 I thought they lost was Murray was having a stinker and you were consistently running pick and roll through Murray. And I know that still involves Jokic in the action, but you want to still run through your best player. You want to give the ball to Joker. Run through him in the post. Make them guard him in the post. And they couldn't. He's getting those floaters. He's getting those jump hooks. And then when he is putting the pick and roll and in the short roll, can hit those floaters. But you know who was insane all game long? Aaron Gordon. And here's the craziest part. He's making his threes. So when Aaron Gordon's making threes and contested mid-ranges and followaways and stuff like that, you're fucked. Like the Nuggets are winning the championship. Like there's nothing you can do because he's already so lethal in that dunker spot as that lob threat for Jokic in the short roll and stuff, those high lows. But my God, when he's hitting mid-ranges like that, threes, 8 points in the first quarter, good stuff from him. But the Wolves, they were up by 7 in the first. They threw the first punch, but then the Nuggets responded with an 8-0 run. I will say, I talked about in game 3, Towns, he needs to be more aggressive like he was in games 1 and 2, going at smaller guys. And he was in the first quarter. He was going at KCP and Murray when he got him switched on to him. And a lot of that comes from transition, able to get stops. Guys are cross-matched, but also intentionally going for him by having the Conley-Towns pick and roll because Murray's guarding Conley. And I don't know. It doesn't matter who's guarding Towns. Aaron Gordon is. But, they switched that. Here's the big difference for the Nuggets, though, in these two games. In the first two games, we all knew that the Minnesota Timberwolves' big advantage is the bench. They have the sixth man of the year. They have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Find me 2 better reserves on the same team in the league. And the Nuggets bench is not giving him shit. But all of a sudden, Christian Brown, Justin Holiday, Reggie Jackson, these guys come out and perform. Reggie Jackson hits 2 left wing threes in the first quarter. And as I said, the Nuggets are running stuff through Joker. They're playing good defense. Aaron Gordon was great. As far as the Wolves, at the end of that first quarter, I thought they need to keep – I wasn't looking at this game from a perspective of either team, just kind of general. I thought the Wolves needed to just keep attacking mismatches and just knock down shots, maybe throw Rudy Gobert on Joker a little bit just to make things a little bit tougher. Aaron Gordon and Jokic played the whole first quarter for the Nugs. Gordon had 8. Jokic had 11 and 4 rebounds in that first. The Nuggets led 29-24 after 1. Ant-Man had 11 in the first quarter. Jamal Murray just 2 shots. But it was good. They were letting Aaron Gordon bring up the ball sometimes, having Jamal Murray off ball more, conserving his energy. I talked about Justin Holiday. He hit 2 threes in the second quarter, and then Christian Brown had 2 layups cutting to the basket, or I don't remember if it was one of them was cutting or one attacking to the basket, but I remember he had 2 layups. And so you're starting to see the contributions from the bench that the Nuggets are going to need if they want to win a championship again. Aaron Gordon, he had when Jokic was out, they were actually initiating through Gordon one time in the post, kicked it out for a 3. I think it was Holiday that hit. Then there was another time where he scored. It was just to see Aaron Gordon playing with the confidence to initiate the offense, and that they went up by 15 in the non-Joker minutes. Of course, that did coincide with the non-Ant minutes. That was amazing. For the Nuggets to extend their lead to 15 without Joker in the game, that shows you, if the bench guys are going to play like that, a lot of it just starts with Jamal Murray. But if the bench guys are going to play like that and Aaron Gordon's going to play above his value, that's a crazy. I mean, this is why they're the champs. You don't underestimate champions. Gobert and Ant came right back in. Wolves weren't messing around. They brought him right back in, and they pushed back. Towns got a couple of easy baskets around the rim, and then Ant-Man, attack mode, knocking down the 3 ball, getting to the basket. They went on an 11-4 run. But the Nuggets, I mean, they pushed back in every way. They didn't really let the Wolves get too much momentum. Joker at one point had a dunk in transition, and my jaw dropped. And so did a lot of the Nuggets players on the bench. It was hilarious. There was a stretch in that second quarter. It was just up and down, up and down. Nothing was being called. It was crazy. But one thing the Wolves did do, they did listen to what I was thinking, put Gobert on Jokic more. And the Nuggets were even looking for Gobert sometimes on the 4-5 switch with Aaron Gordon at the controls. Jokic comes set a screen. They'll switch that. And, I mean, he was still getting good shots on Gobert. Nobody can guard Jokic one-on-one. Same kind of went for like the Ant-Man in this first half, though. And you might be wondering, how did Ant-Man get so aggressive and score so many points despite that strategy of the Nuggets hedging with Jokic that worked so well? Well, I'll say this. At times, he was realizing, okay, I'm going to hedge. I'm going to pull it back out. Now I'm going to go one-on-one. And then there were other times where he tried to turn the corner on Jokic. And then, of course, in transition, they were getting more stops than in game 3. He was able to get out and run a little bit. The ending of the half, though, was really calamitous for the Wolves. It started with Jokic in a post-up, kicked it out to KCP for 3, bucket. Then Ant-Man tried to split the hedge of Jokic, turned the ball over, and then MPJ got a dunk. Then McDaniels threw the ball away, and Jamal Murray made a half-court shot. So they were up 64-49 at the half. As far as the Nuggets, it was the Joker show. They were playing through him, and all you got to do is keep it up for one more half. Got great stuff from the bench. For the Wolves, I was thinking, rough ending of the half. You can't make mistakes like that with 2 turnovers. And you just got to hope that guys like Aaron Gordon, even Jokic, cool down a little bit, and Justin Holiday, Christian Brown, and just keep attacking those weak matchups. And then your role players got to knock down shots. But in the third quarter, Jamal Murray came out and just started getting buckets. And even with McDaniels on him, Ant-Man, just fallaways in the pick and roll. There's no good defense for when Jamal Murray's on. There's really not. You got the best defender in the league, arguably, in McDaniels in the perimeter, and he's still just making these ridiculous shots. But they're not really that ridiculous for him. He finds a way to create space. He finds a way to get his shots off. It's amazing. 12 points. It was all jumpers. Conley wasn't even switching on to Murray anymore, just hedging. And man, Aaron Gordon wasn't missing either. Every time the Wolves seemed to throw a punch, because he was still in attack mode, 10 points in the quarter. But Aaron Gordon was shooting mid-ranges over the top of Gobert. It was just crazy. At one point, the Wolves, they were like, man, this is the thing. In the playoffs, you got to attack mismatches every single time. There's no wasted possessions because you're not just going to get good shots. Teams are not just going to willingly switch like in the regular season. So if you're the Timberwolves, it's either Towns or Ant-Man have to create your shots, or Conley in the pick and roll has to put Jokic in the action. But the thing is, Gobert is such a not great roller that I don't think when Jokic is guarding Gobert, they don't quite put Jokic in the action a ton because he's guarding Gobert and he's not a great roller. But at the same time, they still are putting Jokic in the action a ton. I just think the hedging strategy is working out really well for the Nuggets. I think that's really changed things for them because now it's just more one-on-one basketball for the Wolves. And then when you want to play one-on-one basketball, Jokic versus Ant-Man, and now they're throwing it to Jokic. Jokic is the better one-on-one guy. It's just showing Ant-Man did everything he could. It's just like SGA. He did everything he could in this game. But this is what I thought the series was going to be more like. As good as the Wolves defense is, you cannot stop the Nuggets offense when it's on. And Denver has good defense too. And they have the best player in the world. At one point, the Wolves really wanted to spread it out. So they had Naz Reid in. So just only one big. Usually they don't do that. At least in the playoffs, they haven't. They always have 2 bigs in. And Jokic had 4 fouls. They were willing to do it. They cut it down to 11. And I thought that they just got to knock down shots. They were missing a lot of good looks, the Wolves. But the second quarter, the Nuggets outscored the Wolves 35-25. Jokic had 8 in the quarter. The Wolves, Ant-Man had 12 in the second quarter. Third quarter, the Wolves outscored the Nuggets 30-26. Gordon had 9 in the third. Murray had 12 and played the entire. Murray and Gordon and KCP all played the whole third quarter. Ant-Man played the whole third, and he had 14 points in it. And Cat had 8. So 22 of the 30 points in the quarter coming from Ant and Cat. Fourth quarter, though, was a good one. Christian Brown hit a huge 3 to make it 101-88. That forced a timeout for the Wolves. And again, Christian Brown's really struggled shooting the 3 ball. So for him to make shots like that is absolutely massive. And then Aaron Gordon just kept hitting mid-ranges. There was one possession where the Wolves had them down to 2 on the clock. He hits a fadeaway over Gobert from the right wing, nothing but net. You can't do anything about that if you're the Wolves. You can't. This is an amazing team. So I think Wolves fans, I do think this. I think in game 3, you took that for granted. You were not ready for what a desperate Nuggets team looked like, and that gave them a little too much confidence. So now the game that you are actually trying really hard and you are focused and whatnot, now the Nuggets got some momentum, and then the best player in the world is getting aggressive. At one point, you started seeing Towns in drop coverage because the role players started making shots. So you're like, okay, let's go drop coverage of Murray and Jokic and try to defend it that way, have Rudy around the rim. Well, with the way Murray was playing, you had to show on his jump shot, if you're the big, and Jokic getting in the short roll, he created 7 points, I counted, in that fourth quarter, with passes, with shots himself. Aaron Gordon's right there on the dunker. That's the classic Nuggets offense now. Now you're fucked. So they even tried taking Rudy Gobert out with 3.5 minutes left and put Anderson in to switch more, and they just went with Jokic in the post against McDaniels and scored. And then they just put Gobert right back in. And then the dagger came with Jokic having 3 bodies around him, spun over the left shoulder, floater in the corner, game time. And then Rudy Gobert, not great around the basket. It was an amazing fourth quarter for Jokic. He willed them across the finish line, played the entire quarter, and had 16 points on 6 for 10 shooting. Murray was 0 for 4 in the fourth, but it didn't matter because Jokic was just that good. Gobert had 7 in the fourth. Ant-Man had 7 in the fourth. And Conley had 7 in the fourth. The Wolves actually outscored the Nuggets 28-25 in the fourth, but it was not enough. Let's read the lines and then we'll talk about the overview. For the Nuggets first, they came, they saw, they conquered. They answered back through all the adversity, down 2 games, and got it done. I cannot believe it, but I can because they're just so good. So my pick of Nuggets in 7 is still intact. Reggie Jackson played just 9 minutes, and they were effective. 6 points, hit 2 threes, got 2 rebounds and 3 assists, and yeah, you'll take that all day. How about Justin Holiday? Another great game. 3 straight good ones. 10 points off the bench on 3 for 6 shooting and 3 for 5 from 3. Christian Brown, 11 points. Like, this is huge. This is the difference. The bench players, 11 points on 3 for 4 shooting, 1 for 1 from 3. So if you look at the bench, they combined for 27 points for the Nuggets, 13 for the Wolves. That's huge. That's a difference. Starters. KCP 1 for 6, 3 points, but you can't knock the defense. He does as best he can on Ant. 1 for 6 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. Those are the type of guys that win chips. The guys that can go 1 for 6 and still play 32 minutes and affect the game. MPJ, quiet game for him, so you would think. Game 5, going back home. 4 points. Let's see how that crowd is. 2 for 4 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3 for MPJ, so a quieter game. They definitely made an effort to not let him get open shots. Murray, 19 points. 19 points, 5 boards, 8 assists, 2 steals on 8 for 17 shooting, 3 for 7 from 3. Solid game for him. 2 good ones in a row, but he's going to need to play even better, I'd say, in game 5. And then Jokic, the man of the hour, 35, 7 and 7, 3 steals and a block, 4 turnovers. He's still turning the ball over a lot. 15 for 26. Don't you just love when Jokic gets that aggressive? 26 shot attempts, 1 for 5 from 3. He was amazing. They started running stuff more through him, and boom. Kyle Anderson, 6 minutes played, 0 for 1, a donut. Not good enough. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, one of the biggest differences is that he went cold, ice cold. 2 points, 1 for 7 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. Naz Reid, he played well. He had a bounce-back game, but it wasn't enough. 11 points, 4 boards on 5 for 6 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3. Mike Conley had a pretty good game. 15 points, 2 rebounds, 9 assists. No turnovers on 5 for 12 shooting, 3 for 7 from 3. Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, 11 points, 14 rebounds, but he had 5 turnovers. He's got to be better around the basket, better in those roll situations. He just isn't good offensively. Just a good screen setter. But he has been good so far in the playoffs, so he's got to be better. Maybe the level's just gotten too high, though. Second round. I did say you can't get out of the second round if Rudy Gobert is your second best player, but Towns has been so far in this series. 3 for 5 for Rudy. Towns had a rough game. Jesus. 13 and 12. He doesn't get any foul calls, though, I will say. It's really rough. 13 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover on 5 for 18 shooting, 1 for 4 from 3. 5 for 18. They need much better from Towns. McDaniels, 11 points on 4 for 8 shooting. And then Edwards, 44 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals and a block on 16 for 25 shooting, 5 for 8 from 3, 7 for 8 from the line. What more do you want? The guy, he's giving you everything he has. You need better from Towns. You need better from Gobert. And then hopefully you just hope that some Nuggets players calm down a bit. But the Nuggets are just really good. And this Timberwolves team has not been there. All right, last game, and I got to go quick. The Celtics and the Cavs. And what I have to say about this is when the Celtics big four just play well, it's really hard to beat them. Of course, no Porzingis, but White, Holiday, Tatum, and Brown. And Jason Tatum had a bounce back game. He was like, fuck this. I'm the man. You can't guard me. And Donovan Mitchell, he was still so good. But same matchups. Nothing to say. On the Cavaliers side, there was no adjustment. Just Strus was guarding Tatum, though. Okoro guarding Brown. Still no Porzingis. Still no Jared Allen. Drew Holiday, he had his best game of the playoffs so far. There was a stretch in the second quarter where he was literally everywhere on defense, getting to the basket, scoring over bigs, over Evan Mobley, and then knocking down threes. I mean, that's what he can do. That is what he can do. Tatum was still on Evan Mobley to switch those pick and rolls. Al Horford on Okoro. Horford was in drop coverage, high drop versus Garland, though, to take away the wide open pull up. Mobley was in drop, and the Celtics, they did a better job against it in this game, mainly just because Tatum was just better. There's not much else to say, just being better. Donovan Mitchell was switching on to Tatum and Brown in this game, but Garland was just hedging and recovering. And Tatum got off to a hot start. 12 points, made 2 threes right away. The Cavs had 6 turnovers in the first quarter. Dean Wade returned in this game, and he made his first shot on a right wing 3. And to start the game, Donovan Mitchell had 11 points in the first. Evan Mobley had 7 in the first. Some good stuff on the roll. Drew Holiday had 8 points, including a contested 3 and a lefty jump hook. And then as far as I was looking at this game from a Celtics fan perspective, because it was their must-win game. They need to win it because, yeah, they're the Celtics and they have to win the championship. I was saying I just got to hope Donovan cools down and keep taking smart shots. And Al Horford, I thought he was doing a solid job in drop coverage at that point. There were times where Horford got stuck onto Donovan Mitchell, whether it be like a late switch or cross-match in transition. And Donovan Mitchell was hitting the step-back 3 every time. He hit 2 in a row. The Cavs are shooting a lot of threes, man. A lot of threes. Some not great. Celtics defense was alert, up to par. And Tatum and Mitchell had a nice little scoring duel, definitely at that point. At halftime, I just said the C's, they had to step it up on defense. They can always be a little bit better, a little bit sharper, stay the course. And the Jays just got to take you home. And that's exactly what they did. They came out in the third quarter on a 14-0 run. Great defense. Everyone was switching on to Mobley. So like Holiday, White, all these guys, and they started getting really hot from 3. And you know what happens when they can do that? It starts with getting stops, then you get in transition, find guys, the ball starts moving, and it starts with Tatum and Brown as well in the half-court sets, getting downhill. And man, I mean, they were lighting it up. Went up by 22. And Isaac Okoro, I have to say, he was becoming a liability offensively because he wasn't looking to score or shoot. And they were trying to put him in the pick and roll because they want to put Horford in the action. And Isaac Okoro, yeah, him not looking to score or shoot was really hurting. So they brought Dean Wade in for a bit to play the 5, small ball 5. But yeah, the Jays were making plays, man. Just buckets, getting to the basket. Tatum was killing, and he was getting the ball in the mid post and working. Same conversation with Paul George. I mean, Tatum, when he gets the ball closer to the basket, he can be a beast. So as far as the Celtics, all good, great perimeter defense. And the Jays were killing. To start the fourth quarter, Garland was in attack mode. Mitchell, by the way, I was impressed with his leadership, just keeping the guys engaged, keeping the guys like, hey, come on, they made a run. We're right there. But, man, I have to say, Derek White made some big threes in the second half. Every time the Cavs made a little bit of a push, and he also had good defense as normal. And then Horford, he didn't make an open 3 to save his life, but his defense was so good in drop coverage. It was probably his best defensive game of the playoffs thus far. And then I thought the Celtics did a great job on the fast breaks off of misses throughout the game. Some old school Celtic stuff, quick passes, ball barely hitting the floor. And, nothing Donovan Mitchell was getting was easy. Nothing. They were making things tough. And the Cavs role players, man, they were not good enough at all. Passing up open shots, couldn't attack closeouts at all. And Jaylen Brown having some big buckets late in the game ended things for the Celtics. There's not much to say about the Celtics bench. It was a starters kind of game. They had a combined 13 points off the bench, but for all things considered, Peyton Pritchard I thought was pretty good in his minutes. 5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on 2 for 4 shooting. Derek White, 12 points on 4 for 13 shooting, 3 for 8 from 3. Drew Holiday, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists on 7 for 10 shooting and 3 for 4 from 3. His best game of the playoffs thus far. Horford was 1 for 7, but I thought he had a pretty good game. The Jays combined for 61 points, 33 from Tatum to go along with 13 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal and a block. Another double-double. He's had a lot of double-doubles in the playoffs. He's been great in that respect. 11 for 25 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, 9 for 17 from 2, 9 for 9 from the line. So he was super aggressive, which you love to see. And so was Jaylen Brown. 28 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. He's been great in the playoffs so far. In my opinion, their best player overall in the playoffs. 13 for 17 from the field, 2 for 3 from deep. Max Strus, 2 for 8. Isaac Okoro, 1 for 7. Dean Wade, 2 for 6. Marcus Morris, 0 for 2. Sam Merrill, 0 for 1. Evan Mobley, 17 points, 8 rebounds on 7 for 11 shooting. He was good. Darius Garland, 15 points, 6 assists, 6 for 15 from the field. I thought he got aggressive late, but he couldn't make a three. Cavaliers shot 33% from three, Celtics 38. Celtics 51% from the field, Cavs 43. Garland needs to be better than 15 points. That's obvious. Mitchell, he wasn't bad, but he's got to be better. Mitchell, 33 points, 12 for 22 from the field, 7 for 12 from three. I got nothing bad to say about Donovan. He's been insane. The Celtics are just a better team. But let's see what happens in game 4. It's a must win for them. But all right, I got to go, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back tomorrow, do another one, and we'll be one step closer to catching up. Peace.